back to Kitsap County. Back to you, Russ. The question is, drug use continues to be a concern in Kitsap County. What do you believe is the best approach to this problem?
Well, I had the privilege with former Secretary of Corrections Joe Lehman and Professor David Berner from Seattle U, who was the primary drafter of the Sentencing Reform Act, to work a few years ago on a redraft of the felony sentencing of drug offenders. We put a new developed a new drug grid that did three things. The idea was to steer low-grade addicted offenders into treatment, to steer the next level up the people who are more than addicted and engaged in commerce to support that addiction into prison-based treatment. And then ultimately the people who are engaged in drug trafficking as entrepreneurs, marked by their use of firearms and other crimes, to give them serious hard time. We serve no value by locking up people who are truly addicted. We use a drug court here very efficiently. Our drug court judge, Jay Roof, is recognized as one of the leaders in the state, and we support his efforts.
Thank you.
I would differ from Mr. Hauge, and when you start talking about drugs, we're talking about them in a lump fashion, as if marijuana and methamphetamine are the same things, and they're not. And so we're talking about an addiction, somebody who's addicted to marijuana, for instance, if you could be addicted. You know, certainly there's a dispute about that. But at the same time, I think what we have to do is differentiate between the different types of drugs. And so for the drug problem, you know, their diversion programs are often good for low-grade offenders. Hard prison time is certainly appropriate for those that are engaged in the manufacture and distribution of serious drugs, methamphetamines, heroin, etc. For the low-grade criminals on the, if you want to, you know, the small grow operations, certainly when you're marketing to our youth and all that, you've moved up in the rankings of somebody who needs to go to jail. But we need to focus our attention on those hard crimes, those hard drugs.
All right, and a follow-up question to that is moving to, there has been considerable confusion and dispute over medical marijuana use and distribution. What changes to the law, state and federal, would you propose to harmonize reasonable legal use from growth, transportation, distribution, and sale? If you'd like me to repeat that one, I'd be happy to. Steve, Bruce?
It's a fairly complicated question, but I'll take a stab at it here. Okay, I was talking to my wife about this with medical marijuana, and we had a recent case in which you know, the person certainly was charged, and they said, well, they had a couple too many plants. And they said, you know, this is like driving along the highway, and the speed limit's 45, and you're going 47. Every officer is going to stop anybody going 1 or 2 miles an hour over the speed limit. Well, we can't do that. Certainly, I believe our laws are pretty good with regards to recognizing medical marijuana. It serves a purpose. And I believe that this goes back to the discretion of the prosecutor's office. You're looking at somebody who's using medical marijuana and you say, well, I got a couple extra plants. Are we going to turn this into a major crime? Are we going to turn this into a major case in which we, you know, expend all the resources? I say we don't.
Thank you. Russ?
We've not actively prosecuted a straight medical marijuana case since I've been in office. The cases that have gone to trial where medical marijuana has been raised as a defense have been cases where we had information that the person was actually engaged in serious criminal conduct and that the medical marijuana was a front. I applauded the efforts of the Department of Health and at the direction of the legislature to quantify the number of plants or other smokable or consumable material that medical marijuana patients could have. We didn't have that before. It created great confusion in the law. I would support laws or changes in the legislature to answer the question about how medical marijuana patients can actually obtain the substance. Right now, it's illegal for them to get what they can use as medicine. That's absurd. Moreover, there's no way for them to obtain seeds to grow it. a caregiver can only serve one person at a time. That's highly inefficient.
Thank you. Now, changing grounds a little bit, and actually this goes to Russ, and the question is your department to be involved in the the retirement incentive payment program currently being discussed by the Board of Supervisors or County Commissioners? What is your position on this type of management plan?
I'm not aware of any serious discussions that would affect my department. Virtually every employee in my office is a member of the state PERS 2 system. We've got a couple of people who worked there for over 30 years who are members of the PERS 1 system. Certainly as a way to manage the budget, if the commissioners, the state legislature were to offer early incentives for retirement, that could be a very good thing.
Thank you.
I really don't have any knowledge about it. So.
Okay, very good. So then back to you, Bruce. If elected, what would be the first 2 things you would seek to accomplish and why?
A comprehensive review of the cases that have been filed in the felony arena to ensure that we're accurately charging the individuals, either up or down. And also, I would begin a review process for tracking the hours we're spending in the felony division. The civil division may track its hours, but I am public disclosure requests have been made for hours spent in criminal matters, and the information is there is none. And I believe that's inappropriate. We need to know how our resources are being used and how our attorneys are using their time. So those would be 2 of the things I would do immediately. And I certainly would investigate what I believe to be possible abuses of our office, and that we want to make sure we're doing the right thing for the citizens.
First thing, I'd like to continue with the program we started about 6 months ago. That is to begin felony cases in the district courts, saving time and money. We get an extra 30 days of our speedy trial time by doing that. And the early indications are that we're reducing our felony trial sets, that is cases that are set on the trial track with 5, 6, 7 hearings before the actual trial, by about 50%. So I want to continue doing that. Next, I would like to find a way to do away with our felony reduction program. I think that if we are able to continue with the program that we've adopted with the felonies starting in district court, saving time, saving money, we may be able to back off of that automatic reduction.